Cool. Looks like I am live. Hello, hello. So today I'm going to start what's hopefully a series of videos on writing a text editor in Rust. Now it's not 100% from scratch. Basically there were a bunch of boring bits I had to do first. I had to figure out how cinterop kind of worked in Rust. I just wanted to get things drawing on the keyboard and all that kind of thing. Sorry, drawing on the screen, getting keyboard input. So far there's like 128 lines of code, but I can't even like render a file to the screen yet, so I haven't done too much. But I'll start from the beginning. So actually the comment kind of explains it. It's like the architecture is the two parts of the glue layer. So the inner part's kind of right into the screen, getting the keyboard input and all the rest of it. The outer part is like key maps, config, color schemes, and eventually I want to make that in Scheme or Racket or something like that. But for now it'll just be in Rust. And then there's a glue layer between which the inner and outer parts of the editor communicate with each other. And I'll just quickly go through this. This is an event which can represent mouse, keyboard events, and all the rest. This is provided, or this is a representation of what's provided by the Termbox2 library. Very good library. And here we have just the basic config for now. We have a foreground. These are just colors. The inner part of it, which is basically just writing to the terminal at this point. This all has a C compatible API, or what would you call it, a C callable. Basically you can compile this to a library in theory and call it from anything that understands C. Because eventually that's what the outer part is going to call it in. And then the outer part is just a hard-coded config little convenience function because of null terminated strings. And off we go. Okay, so the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to get my to-do list, and the first thing on my to-do list I have to concatenate a file and place it on the screen, so hopefully that's not like too challenging, but we will rapidly find out just how challenging or not that is. Alright, give me 1 second here for boring moving things around. Okay, so I was looking at a function here, which kind of looks like what I need to do. So let's try and read a string and dump it to the terminal and see what happens. So I'm not going to bother putting it in the layer yet. Let's just hard code it. Why don't I run it and sort of see what we're looking at, right? So nothing too exciting. Just prints 2 messages and we can get at it like that. So yeah, the entering and exiting the raw mode is handled, so that's fine. Okay, so I'm going to get rid of these bits here, and let's, what is it called? Standard, God, I had it a second ago. Standard FS, okay. So it's standard FS, does it read to string? I'm just going to read the cargo.toml, which is, if you don't know, Rust is like the list of the dependencies and whatnot, which there are not many of. So, what is that? That is an option or result? What is it? It's a result. Alright, so let's map over that and we will get a string, right? I would assume. Yep, we get a string. Because we're in immediate mode, we can't just print it directly. Because Unix files don't have return things on them. So is there a way to get lines from a string? There is. Okay, so can I just go for line in lines, inner term print, config, and then let's enumerate this. Is it I line or is it line I? Hang on. By the way, I'm not great at Rust, so I'm going to be reading the docs a lot. Okay, I usize, that's cool. So the X will always stay on the far left, the beginning of the string. That will be on I, and it's going to go. You're giving me a usize. I expect a cint. Can we go try into or something? Then we'll see if that works. Okay, we're getting some complaints. Inner term print Oh, this needs to be a CS. So I've got a little helper function here that just gets you a null terminated string, because strings in C are null terminated and strings in Rust have their own length. And it's going to go mismatch type. Give me a quick and dirty way to just can we just do that, or are you going to be annoyed about it? Yeah, we're going to be annoyed about it. I cannot find type. Okay, standard FFI cint. I know this is all very evil and God knows how big the I could be, but for now, let's just do it like that. Okay. Still got a bug. S is, what's wrong with S? We're borrowing it. I don't need to move it out of anywhere actually. I'm just taking a read-only reference to it. So is that going to help? Trait vacuate from strings not satisfied. Huh. So CS should take anything that can be converted to a vector of bytes. Oh, what about S? I don't need S. Well, S is nothing. This should be line. Actually, can I just do that? Is that going to be fine? Oh! That is fine. Okay, so we're getting all the lines, we are printing them, we're going down, and then we're refreshing the terminal. So let's see. Oops. Let's see what that looks like. Oh, look! We can now print the file. This is better than Emacs already. Okay. Next thing I want to do, I don't need this X variable, this sort of does nothing, doesn't it? I suppose this should idiomatically be like let file contents equals, how do you do this in Rust? Because when you do a side effect in Rust, you shouldn't map over them, which is taking me a while to wrap my head around. I think that's the style. Is it if let? Yeah, it's like if let, okay, and then we do that, and then we've got a file contents here. Instead of S, it's file contents. Which, yeah, that looks pretty readable. Okay, so let's put this in the inner layer here, and of course everything here has to have a C compatible calling API. So we'll go pub extern function. What about this turn open text file? It has a C API, so we probably want like path is const ccar. I'm gonna have it return nothing for now. I'm being a bit lazy. Like there's lots of these C functions here that sort of return a C int, and I'm kind of just ignoring them. To do. To do. I'm actually. If I look quickly, like, how can they actually fail? Does it actually tell you in the docs? This is Termbox 2, by the way. Which is the nicest C library video. Like, if I go tb print, sort of tell you what it does if you sort of... No, doesn't tell you anything about what it returns. So, if they don't tell me about what it returns, I can't really handle it, can I? Anyway, enough dilly-dallying. Let's call this string for now, because it just looks ugly, and I just put this in its own little line here. And then hopefully we can just sort of go like that. Yeah. And it will complain because it doesn't have a semicolon. Right. Okay, again, term open text, so let's put this stuff up above. So first off is that cargo.toml is hard-coded, so we're not using path. And the second thing is that this will take a config, or a reference to a config. So let's sort that out. Config, the path is that. There's term print. we can pass the config into here. So I'm using my one-size-fits-all C-string thing, but I have to allocate, don't I, in order to append a null byte. So would it perhaps not be smarter line? Can I do something like, can I get the C cars of a string? So I go like line as bytes, that gives me U8, which is not what I want. Because C strings are I8 in Rust. They are signed 8-bit integers. I want to use the, what's it called, the foreign function interface C string library, don't I? So let's sort of go let S C string. I don't have C string. C string with a capital S. How do you do it? And then there should be like a from. No, okay, I don't have C string. Oh, probably need it up here. Should be a C. Yeah, there is a C str. I don't know how you pronounce it in Rust. It's like str and string. C str and C string. Okay, from pointer from bytes. But I don't have null, that's the problem. Like if I go from how do I do this? Do I have like a buffer up here? And this is like vec new immutable buffer. I don't know if this is crazy, we'll find out. So we've got a mutable buffer. We get a line, we go how do we give it a type? Vec C car buffer. Right? No. Like that? God damn it, how do you... Easy, just like this. Okay, vec. So we have a vector of C characters that sort of gets cleared every loop. Definition of that is an empty vector. Okay. And then can we kind of go buffer? How do I write a slice to a vector? Append? No, it's another vector. Drain filter. I think I'm going to have to do a quick little search here and figure out how to do this. I'm sure there's a way, but nothing... But there's a lot of methods here and nothing's jumping out to me. Fill? Fill with... look it up. Okay. Rust. Append slice... Or right slice. Yeah, okay, append slice to vector. Extend from slice. I've used that before and I forgot it. Okay. So the idea here is that I just write the non-null terminated Rust string to this buffer, and then I push a little null character here. And then I go buffer. How do I get the buffer out of the vector? As slice, okay. Buffer as slice. Then it's going to complain. Okay, what's it complaining about? Expected reference pointed to a buffer of 8-bit integers. Found reference string. Okay, so can I go line as bytes, but it gives me U8 and not I8. So, can I do like an into or something? Will that work? Magical into? What happens here? No, okay, that's not defined. What if I go to UTF-8? Okay, so the key thing is at some point I have to transform C cars into U8s. So let's go Rust C car to U8. Right. Rust car to U8. Oh, this looks like an awful automatically generated website. Oh, okay. Well, okay, other way around then. Rust car to U8. Okay, how about Rust U8 car? U8 to C car. Oh my goodness. Yeah, okay, how can I mem copy between... Okay, I'm getting results for card. I'm not dealing with actual Unicode characters. I'm literally writing buffs. Writing bytes to a buffer here. So... yeah, okay, this type will always be blah blah blah. Okay, Rust slice of I8 to U8. Does that help? Okay, cool, cool. How do I go I8 to U8? Unsafe. Mute transmute. No, I'm not supposed to use transmute, I've been told, but I'm going to if there's no other way, I mean, for God's sake. Okay. I'll read one more little thing here. Cast the raw pointers as needed. Alright, let's keep it in U8 and then make a C string out of it at the end. That's probably the way to go because we know it's null terminated. So this should become... I like what that guy said. Claire Resurgent. Lie to Rust, not to C. Oh, lie to C, not to Rust. I'm going to do that. Okay. So that's U8. So that becomes line as bytes. And then what's the issue? No, that's fine. And then we're saying I need a B in front of here, and then that gives me the byte. Okay, and then here I can go C with a capital, C str from bytes with null. It's going to be a long expression, so let's sort of go the difference between bytes with null and bytes until null. Create a C string for any byte slice that contains at least one null byte. The caller does not need to know specify where the null byte is located. From bytes with null. The null byte may not be at the end. The null byte is at the end, so we're using this. Okay. I'm going to put an expect in here because, look, I literally just added a byte, right? There's, like, no way this is not going to be a null terminated thing. So I feel like I'm justified in using expect here rather than handling it properly. As slice, and then we'll go expect a null, not a null terminated slice. Alright, how's that? And then that can just go here. And we're good. Okay. Well, let's put my money where my mouth is and sort of go inner. Oh, have I made this public? Yes, I have. Inner term open text file. The config is the outer config. And the path, I'll use my little hacky CS thing. Here will be... Actually, would it not just be easy to just go like byte cargo.toml /0. Oops. There's some parens in there. Expected to report a const I8. Oh, okay, of course, because, yeah, I'll just use my little hacky macro here. Why don't I just use that for everything? So CS, whatever. And then we'll go as pointer. Should be good to go. We're still going to complain, or have I just not put the parens in the right place? Okay. Looks good so far. Let's run it on the terminal and see what happens. Ooh, that's not good. 115, was that literally what I was just working on? And the terminal's going to be all messed up because it's not, it turned into raw mode and then it threw a panic. And then it hasn't been reset to its proper mode, so I'm going to have to... Crap, how do I kill things in Tmux? Is it like Control B kill? Is it Control B X? Yes. Okay. It was 115, I think it was anyway. Oh yeah, right, so it's literally that. Is that not a null byte? You know what, is it literally just this? Is that all I need? Why don't I look it up on Wikipedia or something? Can I sort of go, we'll go Wikipedia null terminated strings. Is it literally just the number 0? I think it is. Okay, I'm just going to assume it's 0 and we'll see what happens. Wow, okay. Oh, there's an interior null. Right, I should read the message. So at 9, there is an interior null byte, and the whole thing panics. So at 9. 0? I mean O? Is it null? How does this work? Oh, I see what it's doing. It's because I've already... No, I don't understand, actually. It's saying there's an interior null byte at the line. Well, so then I don't need this? At all? Cargo run. And then that's just not null terminated. So there's either an... I'm not clearing the buffer. So of course there's going to be multiple... The first line is 9 long. Alright? Yeah. Okay, so that's what the issue was. I'm not clearing the buffer, which is what you have to worry about when you use mutable data structures. So, okay, so buffer, I'm pretty... I want to go back to that because I want to check that it's fine, and I somehow feel like that's more portable than the other way. Whether that is or not remains to be seen. However, yeah. So we've printed it. We can go buffer, clear, drain. What's it called? I assume it's this clear. We'll clear it at the beginning. That's cleaner, isn't it? Also, I'm never passing in the path, so we'll pass that in. Oh, then we've got to go. Oh my god, because it's a C string, we've got to go. We're going to go C string from. Okay, we'll call this rust path. We go rust path equals C string from bytes with null path. And then that's the rust path. C string, how do I actually get a C string from like I8? From pointer, okay. And then what's the problem with this? It's unsafe. Okay. So this is one of the annoying things about C and Rust interop is that they require a lot of... The strings in particular are quite a nuisance. Why don't I read the docs in case I'm doing something wrong, right? Wraps a raw C string with a safe C string wrapper. Safety, the memory reported by the reporter must be a valid null terminator. When I see valid reads of bytes, okay. Time memory range of this C string must be contained within a single allocated object. Right. Pointer must be not null for info 0. Length C string. Okay. Yeah. Okay, I'm pretty happy with that. Famous bloody last words. And then that would just go const. So rust path to give me like a string. Into? Can you use into this? It's going to complain about... Cannot infer that... Okay. Give me a string, please, is what I want. To string. That's result string. Oh my goodness. Okay. So this actually becomes a bit of a longer function. So I'm playing some auto-generated ambient music and it's getting a little bit repetitive, so I'm gonna switch it over. If anyone has any suggestions on what they might want as background noise, that's not gonna get me pinged because I'm gonna upload this on YouTube. Let me know. I like to play like some classical music, but I don't quite know if everyone's into it. Alright, mutable buffer. Rust path is going to be a big long thing because I'm going to have to go... so rust path we expect to be like a real string. expect valid UTF-8 sequence. So this should be like a real string, right? Like a, no, I've got a semicolon. Okay, that's a real string. You'll be happy with that? Yep. Okay. We're pushing the null byte at the end, but we're clearing it every single loop. Ah, you know what? I'll stick it at the end because it's more efficient because it doesn't clear it first when it's empty. How's that? Okay. We'll find out. We're going to kill this because I haven't handled raw mode yet. Ooh, look at that. I'm happy with that. Commit am catting a file to terminal with C compatible function. Awesome. That makes me happy. Okay, let's cross it off the old to-do list actually. Cat a file. We have cat a file. Move a cursor move cursor around said file. Okay. First thing I notice in this is that when I do, I don't know where the cursor is. Like I can't see it. I'm gonna have to go back to the Termbox2 library and actually figure out where the hell the cursor is. So probably easier if you just look at the source. It's just a single header library. Like cursors or anything that even... Oh, cap. TB cap? What does cap stand for? Key cap? What is cap? These are keys. TB key. No, keys are keys. ASCII... Oh, why don't I read the comments? ASCII key constants. Okay, cool. Terminal dependent key constants. Terminal dependent key constants. But then why is that TB key, and then what's TB cap? That's what I'm confused about. Okay, cursor, show cursor, TB cap, show cursor. Is there something that tells me how this is used somewhere? I do like this library, but the documentation is pretty much look at the header file. Which is, for someone that's not like a C expert like me, can be a bit rough. Okay, I don't... Is there anything kind of in the Termbox2 docs that I can kind of look at here? Like, how do I get a cursor? Oh, here we go, right here. It's literally in the documentation, so I besmirched the documentation and it was actually right there. TB set cursor, CB hide cursor, and it's all completely So we've done displaying the file. Do we then want to do this, right? TB set cursor will be at 0, 0, and then TB hide cursor. I don't want to hide it at all. I want to set it. Set the cursor. And then we'll say cannot find the function, to which I add it to what does it return? So by the way, the reason I have access to these C functions is because I used a tool in Rust called CC, which lets you you can add a little C file, find some macros, compile it, and then they're just available sort of globally here. So that's the reason I can just grab these C functions. And I know I probably should have just ffbindgen the whole thing, but like for one, it has macros in it, and two, this way lets me write little convenience functions like I wrote here, because I'm like, can't be bothered dealing with C macros in Rust, so I just wrote my own little wrapper function, and I think that gives me a bit of flexibility. And it kind of shows me what functions I'm actually using rather than binding everything, which I kind of feel is a bit cleaner. Anyway, I wanted TBNC cursor, so that's pretty easy to translate. Int just becomes a cint, so that will just become cx, cint, cy, cint, and that returns a cint. So yeah, dealing with C and Rust can be a little bit gnarly, but I feel like I've been on and off with Rust. Like, I feel like I'm maybe finally starting to get it, and maybe it's finally going to be sort of I'm going off on a tangent now. It's finally going to be like a useful tool in my toolbox, right? You know, whereby I might, use it in an industrial setting for production software. But if that is going to be the case, I need to learn to do these, quote unquote, not nice things like dealing with the real world or the wider world that communicates with the C, the vulgar Latin of computing, right? There's not really avoiding it. So yeah, I'll persevere through some of this. It may seem a bit finicky. Hopefully, as the tip of the iceberg. Right now, it's like the tip of the iceberg, which is all very C driven, and it's not very deep, right? But as the iceberg gets deeper, there's going to be more and more sort of pure Rust underneath it, and the little wrapping bits at the end will kind of seem less significant. But right now, it feels like it's almost all wrapper. But yeah. Okay, we're going to complain about some of these things are unsafe. 127. Okay, that's unsafe. And I guess if some more safety conscious people are out there, I guess I would, when it gets big enough to warrant it, I would like a safe thing underneath this. And then like just this one thin layer has unsafe in it. That would kind of be the way to go. Because I know mixing unsafe and safe kind of all over the place. But yeah. Right. Back to coding. Cargo run. Hey, we've got a cursor. We cannot move it though. But that's something. Right, let's actually add little sub-goals here. Display cursor. Define key map. Key map, okay. So there's two ways we can go with this, right? We can have like a hash table or something from event structs to, what do they call them in Rust? To closures, to anonymous functions, whatever. I know they're slightly different things, but you know what I mean, like the non-functions that don't have names, right? Which is sort of what I was originally thinking. Or just sort of pass it function pointers. Or you can go down the route where you kind of start passing the inner editor a kind of, maybe a bytecode, maybe almost like a subroutine threaded thing, or a U64 opcodes. It almost becomes like a virtual machine. I feel like just calling functions on it for now is going to be cleaner, but if we get in a situation later where we want to pass numeric codes, that's in the back of my mind. Yeah, anyway. So this will belong in the outer interpreter, right? Because this is, this is like a user configurable thing, or it will be, once I've bloody done it. And then I run into the scenario where I cannot have a hash map at the top level, or a key map. So let me define a key map, right? Let's define, it's really just going to wrap a hash map, but we'll call it key bindings, right? And this way, if I decide a hash map is stupid for a small number of keys, I can, use an array or whatever and loop over it and no one would be able to otherwise it. So it's kind of premature abstraction, but whatever. This is my code to do what the hell I want. Rust map, hash map, what the hell is it called in Rust? Is it a hash map? Yeah, okay, hash map, standard collections. Quick way to use it, please. Okay, we do a using thing and hash map new. That seems pretty easy. I think I can deal with this. Standard collections hash map. It's going to complain that it's not used, which is fair enough as it's not used. We'll just call this hash map, I guess, for your original name. It will be the glue layers TB event. So this is the reason it's in the glue layer, right? Because we need it in the outer section for the key map. And we also need the inner section to generate events. Wait 1 second, I need a drink. Great, hopefully that was nice and noisy for the cameras. Sorry about that. I wonder what the top streamers do. They need to noisily slurp down some water. They've probably got those boom mics or something. Anyway, we got a TB event and we've got a function pointer. So I guess I just want this to be a thunk, right? We don't want to be too complicated at this point. So I don't know. I can't really do Rust function pointers in Rust. Rust function pointers. What do they look like? Well, Rust array of functions. Okay. They look like this. Okay, I think I can deal with this. So we will go, I'll make it easy. These are just thunks. Cool, we're complaining already. What have I messed up? Expected comma. Okay, that's a fair enough syntax error. Excuse me. So I need to key bindings bind. What should I? So we do implementation for key bindings. You know, we'll do a function bind, which I guess will just take an event, which is just a glue TB event. And an action, which is just a function, and we'll bind. And self, mutable self, since we're going to be mutating the hash map here. Self.hashmap add put, what's it called in Rust? Clear, drain. Key, what is it called? Try into keys. Okay, let's look at the docs real quick. String insert, it's called. Okay, in Rust it's called insert. Why is that not showing up in my drop-down list? Oh, because I haven't written that properly. So now it will show up. No, there's still no insert. Okay. Why is it not insert? But it's trait bounds are not satisfied. Oh, of course, the key of it has to have equivalent hash. So is that going to be real simple? Can I just go and derive it here? Derive, what was it called? Equiv and hash? I think that's what it was called. Oh, sorry, no. EQ. I'm sorry, I don't know why I said equiv. And then it will say partial EQ. I think you just go partial EQ and it does the rest, right? Okay, cool. 148. Ah, that should be the event. That should be the action. Does this return a useful value that might tell me something about the world? I'm being real. I'm overcooking this. It's no struct. It's just a hash map. Yeah. No, it has to be a struct because I need to create it. Whatever. It's just a stupid thin wrapper at the minute. Okay, so we bind a key. We get a key, which is going to be another stupid thin wrapper. Self and event. Glue TV event. That's going to be a get event. And that returns something. What does that return? This has been an option, right? Recursive call sign. Oh, whoops. Self hash map dot get. And that'll return an option, which makes sense. And it will say what? It will say we only need to borrow this. You didn't need to give it to me. And then so that will be an option to a thunk, pointed to a thunk, right? Nope. What are we doing wrong? What is it if it's in a reference to a function and a... This is beyond my knowledge here, but we'll see. Cannot return a reference. Returns reference to data owned by the current function. Okay, can I clone it? No? So I'm cloning a function pointer. Yeah, I'm okay with that. Yeah, that's perfectly fine by me. Let's clone a function pointer. I feel a bit stuck here. Let's try and use this and see what it looks like. It feels wrong. Something about it feels wrong. So we've got like let key bindings equals outer. Yeah, there's no logic. Okay, what feels wrong to me? That there's zero logic in here. So that's what feels wrong, right? Can we not just do like a static? Hang on a minute. Variable. Rust static hash map. How do we do this? Alright, this is an easy problem, and I know I'm overthinking it. The issue is, okay, I'm just going to get a new keyboard. So I'm going to make this pub, and we're just going to make these two pub. Yeah, my first instinct, I think, was the correct one, I suggest. Because, you know, we might want multiple key bindings, especially if you want to start doing modal stuff. So, you know, outer key bindings. Okay, so we'll get a new function going on here. Function new self hash map new. Pub's your uncle, right? No, we're going to complain about this. What's the issue? Okay, cool. Key bindings are there. So we're opening a file, and then we want to go, we want to bind the keys. Let's bind the arrow key, and we want to bind that to what? First thing, let's implement moving the console. Actually, let's move in the cursor. So I feel like the first thing you should do is as you start the terminal is put the cursor at the beginning, right? I feel like that's sensible. So let's do that. So we've opened a file, we put the cursor, because it should, I don't know what it's doing here. I don't know if we quite need it here. Hang on a minute, we've opened a file, put the cursor at the beginning. I'm trying to think. Okay, I guess the thing here is to save the position of the cursor, and then as you update the position, you set, you call this, right? So the cursor actually becomes like a bit of data that you're saving. All right. Define key map, that actually comes last. So let's display cursor. I wanted to find a point. And then I want to say re-display cursor when, okay, define point struct, define cursor, define global cursor variable using point. Let me say re-display cursor on screen when it changes from variable. I think that's the first thing to do. Because I'm making these key bindings and then I'm like, well, I can't actually do anything with them. So I think I'm going to write like an internal Rust function here, like a nice safe one. It's all rusty. It's got nothing to do with C. So we've got this struct term. No, first things first, let's look at my list that I just wrote. We'll go struct point, and I honestly just hate writing X and Y variables everywhere. I like to move them. I mean, I like to keep them in one place, right? Alright, so first thing I'm going to do is write a point. So this is just going to be internal unless I make a C struct. God, so many little micro decisions. Let me think of a C API, a C calling an API. It's very C-like to not have structs. They don't like structs, they just have X and Y. So I'm going to use a point, but they can use whatever they want. Okay, so we'll go struct point. We'll go struct term, which has like a thing called a cursor, which is a point, right? And then you've got like an implementation where it's like if you move the cursor, implement move cursor. I really wish I could start getting rid of these C ints, but the C library needs them. Tempted to just hack the source actually, for God's sake, and just make it a uint 32_t, whatever they're called. C library authors, please stop using ints, they're annoying. Just use, tell me what size you think it is and use that. Like he's using uint 32 in other places. I don't know why he doesn't do it there. But anyway, it's just C int. So now, so you know, it says that the C int is spreading, right? It's like move cursor, you know, to another point. So that will become point, and then we go tb set cursor. Of course is horribly unsafe. Children catch fire, floods will occur, so it becomes px, py. That's also unsafe. What's it complaining about? Expected, because of the it needs to have a semicolon here to drop the return type. This needs to be mutable self. What are you complaining about there? I don't. Oh, self. Right. Maybe I'm going to automate this. Why don't I just call this cursor and get it to print itself? That's probably the neater way of doing it, right? Yeah. And then we just write function print implementation. Implement cursor function print, and then this is just becomes this. See, I know this is kind of boilerplatey, but I like just not caring. You know, we have a cursor, there's now a new cursor, print the cursor. We don't need to constantly split it apart into its constituents. We print it, so that will take a reference to self, self x, self y. Yeah, and then we just go, you know, self.cursor print. Done. Okay, so we've got a struct term now. So this should also have the config in it, shouldn't it? It's got the cursor, it's got the config. Because the config right now decides how things are printed. Which therefore implies this needs to have a C representation, because this whole thing needs a C. Let's just, can't hurt, right? Let's just make everything represent C. So that has to, just term, because the outside doesn't need to know about cursor, right? But I guess the outside does need to know about, no, it doesn't need to know about term. Whatever. But the thing is, like, the things that take config will now take a term opaque data type. So I don't actually know how to do, what does an opaque data type look like? I guess it just looks like, you know, so C's constant from Rust's const, it would be like const term. And then term has config. Okay, I think I'm getting somewhere. So cursor, we have config, which will be outer config. Glue, it's in the glue layer. Needs a semicolon. Alright, so terminal has a cursor, has a config, basically just colors. We can move the cursor on a terminal. So this goes here because it's an internal function. Right now, it's an internal function. So we don't need any C calling capability here. So here when we start a terminal, it's a slightly different proposition because we're saying you need to start me with a config. Yeah. And the config is a reference. What do we copy at each time? let's make it a reference and see if that's a bad idea. Okay. All right, so to create a new term, we have a cursor, and the cursor is just 0, 0, right? Does that work? Then you do x 0, x 0. And then the config will get passed. Hang on a minute. If I make this, I'm confused myself. If I make this pointer, it will say, hey, not a pointer, a reference. It'll say we need a lifetime parameter. So I'm just going to copy it because it's less work. Zero cost abstractions, everyone. Okay. And then we don't need return. I can just go self, cursor, config, right? So we have a new term. So then when we start a terminal, we also return, because I want term to be opaque, as in you shouldn't be able to poke around in it. And because it's got a C representation, I should be able to go like const term, right? And then so that creates an opaque thing, and then we all just pass it around. Oh no, is the C way to do this to pass it in as a mutable variable, and then initialize it, isn't it? All right, I think that's enough for episode 1 of creating a text editor in Rust. Hope you enjoyed this project. And yeah, if anyone's watching, I hope to see you watching again sometime very soon. Take care, everyone.